What is going on, Jerome's? Made it to a Friday. The Minnesota Fighting Vikings 1-0. That's right. Take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. In Philly, return to the scene of the crime in a battle of upstart, up-and-coming NFC contenders so early in the season. And we've already outlined that this is a must-win game because these wins matter just as much as they do in November and December and January. They are going to stack up, and this could be the difference between a home playoff game and a road playoff game in Philly, which kind of matters, right? Recapping week 1 for the Eagles. So they almost let the Lions come back in. Dan Campbell's squad, they almost clawed their way back into the game, biting some kneecaps, but Philly held on 38-35, although Eagles scoring 38. Bad memories. And also the Vikings. We know what happened. So we have seven keys to a Vikings victory, as well as a final score prediction. I wonder what's going to be. Number 1, hurt so good. Now, I'm not saying hurt him so good. We don't play like that, man. But Jalen Hurts, I have a lot of respect for Jalen Hurts. I loved him at Alabama. The way that he handled the transition to Tua, I mean, that's just leadership and character right there. Balled out of Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley, and then with the Philadelphia Eagles, I do think that he can round into form and become a stud quarterback in this league. Hasn't quite gotten it there yet with the passing, but his athleticism is unmatched. Did have 243 yards passing against the Lions, most of it to A.J. Brown, but he hammered them on the ground. 17 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown. And for the Vikings, they're going to have to spy on him. They are going to have to put a quarterback spy on Jalen Hurts. That's really the only way that they're going to have any success. And it's going to have to be akin to like when Antoine Winfield Jr. spied Michael Vick in 2010. Back in the day. And for the Vikings, this is going to have to be a big-time Eric Kendricks game because not only is he one of the best coverage linebackers in the National Football League, he has great agility, great instincts, and I think that he will be able to keep an eye on Jalen Hurts and do some great things. Or, since rookie Lewis Cine, his knee is revved up, ready to go, potentially using that 3-safety look and allowing Harrison Smith to mirror Jalen Hurts, or Cam Beasley, or hell, even Lewis Cine himself, even though it's a big ask for a rookie making his NFL debut. But either way, we know that this defense can rush the passer, but can it stop the run? And notably, can it stop the runs of quarterback Jalen Hurts? That remains to be seen. Next up, key number 2 for the Vikings to get a W in Philly. Jefferson Part 2. Because we know that some sequels are better than the original. Godfather Part 2, Bad Boys Part 2, and even though Jefferson had that record-setting career day against the Greasy Grimy Green Bay Packers, 9 for a buck 84 and 2 touchdowns, we need more. You wanted more than I could give. And respect. I mean, the Eagles, they bring some stank on defense. They got Darius Big Play Slay, who, the Lions were mistaken. He's got a little bit left in the tank, as well as James Bradbury and the rest of the secondary. Chauncey Gardner, Stuckey just got there. Marcus Epps, a former Vikings draft pick. We want you back. We want you back, man. As well as Avonte Max is solid in the slot. So, I mean, their secondary is damn good. I mean, as good as Green Bay secondary was, they had a number of issues. Mainly, they didn't let Jar match up man for man with Justin Jefferson. But the Eagles aren't going to make that mistake. Like Slay and Bradbury are going to get all up in Justin Jefferson. And can he get off that press? I think he certainly can. Plus, I mean, if they're going to double or bracket or even triple team Justin Jefferson at times, that's going to open things up for Adam Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen. That is going to open things up for that's going to open things up for KJ and Irv Smith, as well as Jalen Reagor revenge game. We know this. We already predicted Jalen's going to get one pass, 75-yard touchdown off of play action. It's happening. It's happening, baby. Next up, key number 3 for the Vikings get a win on Monday Night Football. What can Brown do for you? A.J. Brown is a bad man. He is. And I absolutely loved him with the Tennessee Titans. Hell, I loved him back at Ole Miss where he was basically what Laquan Treadwell is supposed to be. And going beyond the Ole Miss wide receivers who were number 1, but just physical and a guy who can get it done. I think that he gets better separation than he gets credit for. And A.J. Brown against the Lions, 10 catches for a buck 55 on 13 targets. He was basically the Eagles' receiving game. He was. And Devontae Smith was held without a catch, had 4 targets. That's not going to happen again. He's going to get going. Dallas Goedert, the tight end, is really solid as well. So they have 3 really. Oh, Quez Watkins, the Pride of Southern Miss, don't sleep on him either. So they do have 3 really solid receiving options. And the Vikings. Yeah, the Vikings cornerback room, they got really lucky that the Packers wide receivers were so inexperienced or a pass or sell by date. So I think that Patrick Peterson is going to get tested. I think that Cameron Tiny Dantzler is going to get tested. Andrew Booth Jr. is probably not going to play. Sean Dunn working from the slot, as well as Caleb Evans, the rookie. He's probably going to get some snaps as well. So, I mean, this is going to be a big-time test for the Vikings defense because, I mean, the Eagles receivers are no slouch, especially A.J. Brown, and it's kind of a similar problem. Stylistically, Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown are completely different wide receivers, but A.J. Brown is going to get his. The Vikings' entire defense knows that he's going to get his, so how are they going to approach A.J. Brown? Do they have, well, you're probably not going to have Peterson or Dantzler trail him, but do you play sides? Like how do you divvy things up? How are things going to go? That remains to be seen, but they got to figure it out. Next up, key number 4 for the Vikings to get a win in Philly on Monday night. F around and find out Kirk Cousins. That's right. Frick around and find out Cousins. We need angry Cousins back again. 118.9 quarterback rating against Green Bay. Plus, he knows Philly from playing them twice a year during his time in Washington. He certainly knows the Lincoln Financial Field fans for sure, so the environment is not going to faze him. Plus, after starting his career 0 for 9 on Monday Night Football, he's won 2 in a row, man. He's absolutely getting things done. And like we said at the jump, Kirk Cousins last week against the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers, that is an elite quarterback level. That is some of the best football that we've ever seen Kirk Cousins play, and it's part and parcel with the new offense with Kevin O'Connell, playing to Kirk Cousins' strengths, really opening up this modern and modernizing the offense. Justin Jefferson playing out of his gourd, as well as the offensive line providing adequate pass protection, which we'll get into in a sec. But, I mean, Kirk, this is a revenge tour, man. And the Vikings, as of right now, besides Thanksgiving night against the Patriots, they aren't scheduled for another primetime game. Now, that could certainly change later in the season if and when they get flex to Sunday Night Football. But, I mean, this is it. This is the time. That's why I think Jefferson is going to shine. That's why I think Kirk is really going to step things up again in a national standalone game. And we need it, man. Next up, key number 5 for the Vikings get a win on Sunday. Offensive line gelling. So speaking of which, the Vikings offensive line, they did really have a pretty solid game from the eyeball test against the Packers. Kirk only got sacked once. Now, they did ding the offensive line for 18 pressures, except I didn't really see it that way. I think that the Vikings offensive line, especially Garrett Bradbury, respect. I think they gave Kirk better pockets than he's had at any point in his career with the Vikings. I think Ed Ingram rebounded from a pretty crappy start of the first half against Rashawn Gary, against Kenny Clark of the Packers, and the entire offensive line did great in run blocking. So they're going to have to keep working together, man. And I think that this line has a chance to be slightly above average going forward and potentially even good by the end of the season. And then you're keeping this unit together potentially. Well, we'll see what happens with Garrett Bradbury. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. But, I mean, if we can just cut and paste the way that the Vikings played against the Packers, put it to the rest of the season and playoffs and the Super Bowl, I mean, the Vikings are going to have a fantastic offense this year because protected Kirk is a good Kirk, and good Kirk means everything opens up for Justin Jefferson and Thielen and everyone else. Next up, key number 6 for the Vikings to get a win on Sunday. Next up, key number 6 for the Vikings to get a win on Monday Night Football against the Eagles. Somehow, I managed. Yes, Kevin O'Connell in his NFL head coaching debut, he did solid in game management situations. Now, he didn't pull a Nathaniel Hackett, that's for sure, but the Vikings, they played well on both sides of the half, the 4-minute area there. They didn't give up any points, which is also kind of nice. And overall, Kevin O'Connell, it felt like he managed the offense. He managed the game extremely well, which is great, him making his NFL debut. But now you're on the road. First road game, first primetime game, hostile environment. So hopefully Kevin O'Connell, even though he's very familiar with Philly, he's very familiar with the division as well, spending a lot of years in Washington. So he's not going to get fazed by that. But just having competency, whether it be clock management, personnel management, game management, all of that stuff. I think Kevin O'Connell so far has looked really well. But, I mean, this game, if it's going to be close, it could come down to a late game situation, situational football, which Sometimes first-time head coaches like Nathaniel Hackett fail. Hopefully, Kevin O'Connell will pass with flying colors. Lastly, key number 7 for the Vikings to get a win on Monday Night Football against the Eagles. Run the ball, take the crowd out. Now, I understand it. We're going to get some heat on this one because, you just said they'll modernize the offense. And yes, the Vikings have gotten away from the run, pass, punt offense. But Dalvin, Alexander Madison, they hammered the Packers. 4.5 yards per carry. The Minnesota Movement Company, the horses up front, they look phenomenal run blocking. So the Lions put up a $191 on the ground against the Eagles in their Week 1 showdown, led by DeAndre Swift. They got things done up front. So the best way to take a home crowd out as an away team is play good defense as well as string together a long-ass drive, especially running the ball, just hammering the football, moving the chains. I think the Vikings certainly could do that. Dalvin had probably the quietest 90 yards rushing and 100-plus yards from scrimmage game that I've seen in a while. Yes, all the hype and all the highlights were Justin Jefferson, but Dalvin looked good. And number 4, look fantastic, man. We're going to need some more from 4 as well as Deuce, maybe a little King Kene, especially on special teams. Maybe a special teams play can flip this one on Sunday. Also, Jalen Reagor, a punt return. Let's go. Revenge right in the face. Prediction time. All right, so the Eagles are favored by 3. Obviously taking the points. Obviously think the Vikings are going to win, but it's going to be a tough game. The Eagles are no slouches. I respect what Nick Sirianni, I respect what Jonathan Gannon have done with the Eagles so far. So I do think that this is going to be a relatively near-run thing, and I think it will come down to a key play here or there. I think it will have to be Justin Jefferson just stepping up again, Kirk Cousins stepping up again, and Kevin O'Connell just hey, there's really no time for growing pains, man, because this team is talented. The NFC is wide open. The NFC North is there to be had, and these games matter. These games matter, especially since the entire division is playing the NFC East this year. So all those common games, they stack up in the tiebreaker. So the Vikings need this one. I think they go out and get it done. Lots of positive vibes, man. Good momentum. Prediction: Vikings win 26-23. That doesn't seem right. Does it? Oh! Gold. Vikings go into Philly, put the bang thing on the Eagles, 38-7. Eat a W. And what's great? So the Vikings somehow, some way will be up 32-7. And then Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings offense will go out and score one final touchdown, but they'll just take a knee on the extra point. So instead of making it 39-7, they just make it 38-7. It's just oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, man. But what are your thoughts on our thoughts? 7 keys to victory for the Vikings on Monday night against the Eagles. What are your keys? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts. Also, toss in your final score predictions in the comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.